so I really don't need to introduce this guy. He's been on TV. He's been well known around for a long time, longer than his youthful looks would indicate. He's run 50 marathons in 50 states in 50 weeks. That's what he did last year.
Days.
That's even more impressive.
His stories get more bizarre every year. Rather than try to retell them, let me just introduce Dean Karnazes. Thank you very much.
Right.
Thank you, Jeff. Yeah, it was actually 50 marathon, 50 states, 50 days. And I'll never forget, the final marathon was the New York City Marathon, and after I finished, they had me on the Conan O'Brien show. So I ran into the studio, and Conan was giving his introduction. He said, yeah, there's a guy here that just ran 50 marathons in 50 states in 50 days. He's dead, but we're trying to get him out here. Well, thank you all for being here. I'm always amazed that people come to listen to my presentations because I'm never quite sure what to say. But I thought I would just start off by asking how many of you are actually running your first marathon tomorrow?
All right.
Keep your hands up. Are you ready to die? I don't know why you want to run Big Sur as your first marathon, but I applaud you. I remember going to the first marathon I ever went to. It was actually my dad who ran the inaugural LA marathon back in 1986. And my mom and I went up there to kind of crew for him. And he had briefed us. He said, you know, when I get to the 20-mile mark, that's when you hit the wall. So when I get to 20 miles, you guys be waiting there. I'm going to feel horrible. I'm going to need a push to get me to the finish. So tell me I look great and to keep going. Well, he comes running in at mile 20, and my mom looks at him and she says, you look horrible. Why don't you stop? But, you know, bless my dad. You know, I'm 100% Greek, and he insists we're from the same village as Phidippides, the original Greek runner. And I always told him, you know, Dad, we grew up in LA. What village are you talking about? But I don't want to remind you the story of what happened to Phidippides after he finished that marathon. Yeah, he died. He said, Nike, Nike, which is Nikeus, we are victorious, and then he fell over dead. Yeah, but anyway, if you don't know that, that's nothing you want to think about while you're out there tomorrow. Well, you know what I thought I would do is just tell you some of the stories about some of the things I've been up to and then answer some questions for you. I will actually, after this, I'll be downstairs. They've got a booth set up downstairs next to the Info Center. So if anyone has books they want me to sign or you want to do a photo or something, and I'll have some books for sale as well downstairs. So right after this, I'll head down there. But, you know, I want to tell you that I am a runner just like many of you and a writer. And as you know, both these are very solo pursuits, right? I mean, you're kind of on your own quite a bit when you do these things. So I've never felt comfortable in front of audiences on a stage. So if I seem a little nervous, it's genuine. Well, you can imagine how nervous I was when I got a call a few years ago from the guys at the David Letterman show, asking if I would be on Late Night with David Letterman. Now, to me, the thought of appearing on stage with David Letterman was about the most harrowing thing I could ever imagine. But I figured, you know, you only have to shoot once, you might as well live a little, right? And I had 2 weeks before I was due to be on the show. And I figured in that 2-week period, there'd be extensive training, there'd be media briefings. They'd let me know that the questions David would be asking me in advance, and they'd help me formulate my answers. So I thought in those 2 weeks, I could get comfortable with the idea of being on stage with David Letterman. Well, a week goes by, and I haven't heard from anyone at the Letterman show. 2 weeks go by, and the next thing I know, I'm on a plane from my home in San Francisco bound for New York City. And they pick me up at the airport, and they kind of whisk me around Manhattan in this semi-sleep-deprived, jet-lagged state. And then at 5:30 at night, they bring me to the back door of the Letterman studio. And they ushered me up to this green room that was beige. Yeah, they said, have a seat on the couch, Gene, relax, have some food. So I'm sitting in this, beige green room, and I'm really not that relaxed. I'm kind of thinking, the training, the briefings, the dry run, when are we going to get to all that stuff? And then eventually, 2 of David's handlers come in the room, and they sit down with me, and I'm relieved. And they say, all right, Dean, here's what you got to do when you're on the show tonight. Don't make any reference to it being Monday night, because this segment is going to air on Wednesday night. I thought, yeah. I mean, I'm just a runner, I can do that, And they say, I'm not allowed to do it, and they walk out. So now I'm in this green room, and I'm, getting a little freaked out. I'm flared for the dramatics here. I'm looking at my watch, thinking the training, the briefings, when are we going to get to all that stuff? And then 2 more folks eventually walk in, and they ask me to stand up. And I am very relieved. I kind of stand up, and I, typical runner, I start shaking things loose. And they kind of look me up and down, and they rub their chins, and they turn to each other, and they say, yeah, he looks fine to me. And they walk out. So now I'm in there, I am just freaking out. I'm thinking the training, the briefings, the dry run, when is all this stuff going to happen? And I hear in the loudspeaker, ultra marathon man, we need you at stage level immediately. And the door swings open, and there's a guy standing there, he says, follow me. And we kind of walk down this white, stark hallway. It's this nondescript hallway with these big fluorescent lights overhead, and we get in this freight elevator. We go down a couple stories, the door opens, there's another guy standing there. The first guy hands me the next guy. The next guy kind of parades me around the corner and hands me to a third guy. And when I see this third guy, I notice he's got a headset on. And when he sees me, he says, 3, 2, 1, you're on. I'm like, bro, what'd you say? You're on. Go, everyone's waiting for you. So I just kind of stand around the corner. I'm not sure what to expect. And I get out there and wham! I'm just blinded by these huge white stage lights. I can't see anything but a sea of white. And I hear laughter and applause and people yelling my name. It was like I just walked into heaven. And I'm kind of standing there like the proverbial deer in the headlights, and I look over to my left, and there with his hand outstretched was David Letterman. So the segment I'm about to show you is what transpired.